My whole journey began as a young person back in Ohio. I was raised in a Christian home in southern Ohio. I graduated from high school in 1956, not knowing for sure what the future would hold. And 6 months after graduation, I was interviewed by the FBI, a field office in Cincinnati, Ohio, looking for young people to go out and work as file clerk people. So I went out there and began working for them in January of 1957. And when I went there, I was looking for a church, so I found a Wesleyan church in southeast Washington, D.C., and the pastor was just so happy to see an 18-year-old come along and willing to work in church. On Wednesday nights, we went out calling, and so part of my story of really listening to God was doing what I felt I should do there with the pastor and working with him, and I enjoyed that. Plus, I was working at my job at the FBI and enjoying that too, and so Mr. Hoover, who was head of the FBI at that time, wanted us all to do some further advancement in our education, so I was taking classes at night, 2 nights a week in accounting, and I was halfway through my accounting classes when an incident happened in my church. One of the laymen in the church was injured in a serious accident. He was working under a car he had jacked up on a snowy driveway in February of 1959. So he was in a coma for about 6 weeks before he passed away. And when he passed away, I was at his funeral. It was on an afternoon, I remember. And at that funeral, my pastor shared a message from Ezekiel, and I'll just read a verse to you. God said, "I looked for a man among them who would build up the wall, stand in the gap on behalf of the land, so I would not have to destroy it, but I found none." My pastor emphasized that here this other gentleman in our church has passed away. He had a wife and some kids and left them behind, but he was studying for the ministry by correspondence course. And somebody's got to take his place. Somebody's got to fill in the gap. Well, here I am, just 20 years of age, single, have no attachments that makes me not be available. And I just felt God really strongly impressing me during that service that I should be the one to fill the shoes of this gentleman that was killed. So I went to my pastor and I said, no, I was pretty emotional at the service, but I said, I want you to pray with me about it, counsel me about whether I really have a call to the ministry. And so we prayed over those months afterwards, and I finally felt it was time for me to say yes to the Lord's will. So that circumstance of a friend's death and a scripture verse really came through to me that I was the one to go stand in the gap. Also, I think I would be remiss to not say this. I had a godly mother who was quite a prayer warrior, and she was back in Ohio praying. Glad that I was out there working where I was, but I think she was always praying that one of her 2 sons would become a minister, so I answered the call, and that answered her prayers, but also it confirmed with me too. So that was my response. I resigned from the FBI, went to Marion College in Marion, Indiana. God provided a job there at RCA making television picture tubes for me to earn my way through college. And he provided a spouse for me. Been married to Dolores now for 52 years. And we've had great ministry in 6 different churches across the country. And I think my call has been confirmed by a lot of people in all those congregations, you know, that they said, you know, that I'm meant to be a pastor. So I'm really happy that I followed God's will in that way, and I believe that everywhere He sends me now, I'm happy to wake up every morning and feel I'm sent to do God's will. I am Pastor Dale Nash, and it's great living each day knowing that I am sent.